Welcome to the Candace's Pack Dog Rescue Show with your host, JP Mendoza.
Thank you very much, Taniya. All right, not too much news and updates, but I do want to share that this podcast has received over 250 downloads. Insert cheesy applause now. That's right, 250 downloads. I can't thank you guys enough. This is awesome. I would love to get more feedback from you guys. Please contact me. You can DM me on Instagram, send me a message on Facebook. You can send me an email, cpackdogrescue@gmail.com. Thanks to all my friends and family who have been sending me personal messages and words of encouragement. I love all you guys. I really appreciate it. Not too many pieces of feedback to actually read out loud, but I do want to shout out a couple of friends. Thank you to my good friend Lisa Johnson for recommending this show to a friend who needed help and advice with her dog. Out of all the content out there right now, to recommend this show, I'm very flattered. Also, thank you to my good friend Ranella Rodney for inquiring on how to support the rescue through Amazon Smile. I realize it can be a little bit confusing on how to use Amazon Smile. Basically, what Amazon Smile is you just choose a charity that Amazon will then donate a tiny percentage of your order as a charitable donation. So you choose Candace's Pack Dog Rescue as your favorite charity, and then every order you make, a percentage goes to us, but it's the same Amazon prices for you. And here are the directions on how you can select Candace's Pack Dog Rescue as your Amazon Smile charity. The first thing you have to do is join Amazon Smile. If you're not already an Amazon Smile member, sign up at smile.amazon.com. Simply select your favorite charity to start generating donations at no cost to you. Obviously, you're listening to the show. Your favorite charity is Candace's Pack Dog Rescue. Next step, get the app. Download or update to the latest version of the Amazon shopping app on your phone. You know where you can get it. App Store, Google Play for Android. And last step, you have to turn on Amazon Smile. Open the app and find Settings in the main menu. Looks like an equal sign. Tap on Amazon Smile and follow the on-screen instructions to turn on Amazon Smile on your phone. Just a side note, Amazon Smile in the app is not available for iPads or other tablet devices. But you can get around that, and you can always go on your browser and type in smile.amazon.com. This week's interview is with Jessica Quezada. She's the owner and head trainer of Groovy Paws, based out of Los Angeles, California. Please welcome Jessica Quezada. All right, Jessica Quezada from Groovy Paws out in LA. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, JP?
I'm good, Jess. I'm good. First of all, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
I saw on your website, because I'm trying to prepare for these interviews, Jess. I'm trying to be professional here.
Of course.
I read on your bio that you used to work in the music and entertainment industry.
I did. Festivals.
Yes. And we were talking a little bit off air, and immediately when I read that, I knew we had something more than dogs in common.
Oh,
because
awesome.
Because I used to work in television production. So I'm a little bit from that world. I know what it's like. I'm guessing you probably did a little bit more entertainment side.
I did. I actually worked on some film and some music entertainment, booking talent in the festival scene, also in even the local bars or local clubs out here in LA. So it was fun, I really, really enjoyed it. I absolutely loved it. I mean, I was in my 20s when I did it. But then I got burnt out. When I went to Ibiza in 2014 is when I had that recognition, like, hey, I got to change my life.
Yes, and you also said in your bio that you were walking dogs and pet sitting on your weekend time or off time.
I did.
Is that when you realize that you rather be working with animals rather than working with
In the
people
entertainment?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think during that time I was just really looking for a purpose in life, juggling life itself with music, and was so fixated in that music industry. But what would bring me peace and calmness was always those weekend walks and walking dogs and pet sitting for a couple of my colleagues. And I realized how much passion I had doing that I ended up creating it into my full purpose of life, and dog training, walking dogs, pet sitting, boarding, and all that jazz. And it changed my whole world. It changed my whole perspective in life. I see life so differently now since I've been working with dogs.
Yeah, I relate to that because a lot of people think that working in television is like really glamorous and you get to see celebrities and all this and that. But it's like anything, it kind of gets a little old, right? And
it's a lot, very stressful too.
yeah. I worked in the mostly. I did a little bit of entertainment, but mostly in the news side. So I like local news, and I remember being so excited the first few years because it's really what I wanted to do coming out of school. But a few years in, it's like things start to get a little repetitive, and
right.
and you're waking up early in the morning, and yeah, the money's okay, but it's like, what am I doing in life, right? Like I'm not, I didn't feel like I was doing anything meaningful. So when this opportunity came for my wife and I to move, that's when I really thought, okay, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to really have a different reason to wake up in the morning. Right. And a year before, that's when I came up with, being able to help dogs and also train and just doing something more with my time. So I completely understand where you're coming from with that. But how did Groovy Paws come about? I mean, did you just decide, okay, I got to do this professionally, and did you start recruiting a team? What's the history behind the startup?
It's before I even started Groovy Paws, I was shadowing a lot of different walkers and actually working with a lot of different walkers in Santa Monica, and just really getting to learn more about the business. Starting a new business, I was like, how do I start this thing? And so I was asked a gazillion questions, and I learned so much through these walkers and people that run the business. And in 2015, I just really had the courage to venture out by myself and gain the confidence to do it. A lot of it was lack of confidence. I was feeling a little bit insecure. Should I do it? Should I not? Creating all these things in my mind of judgment, fear of judgment and all that. But I knew what I wanted in my heart. And I always tell these stories. In my 20s, I used to manifest one day in my 30s, I will have my own business. And right when I hit 30 years old is when I developed that business. And it's been such a rewarding gift for me. Not only that, it's just these dogs, working with these dogs is just an incredible feeling every single day. I call it Groovy Paws Adventures because it's always staying in the groove of life. That's something that these animals have created, have showed me to stay always consistent and present in the groove of life.
I love that because you also talked about you grew up with your family owned a farm. And
my parents still have a little farm. They have billy goats and chickens.
Yeah, and you specifically mentioned your grandfather in your bio.
That guy, he was a badass.
Yeah.
He had horses and he had goats and he had bulls, and he was a professional bull rider in Mexico, in Michoacan, Mexico, where he's from. And he was just such a badass dude, and the way he worked with these horses, barely even spoke any words. It was all body language and energy. It was a fascinating energy I've never seen before. And I'm a kid in my teenage years, teenage years still seeing this. It's like looking through the fence and just watching him, observing, and wishing that I could ride the horses, because back then at that time, his mindset was women weren't allowed to ride horses. It just wasn't proper. So I always stood by the sidelines outside the fence and just observing. So I would run after having lunch with my grandma, and I would just run to the fence and I would watch him work these horses, and how he would patiently just brush them down. Every detail was just so magnificent. And it just, to me, it was like a beautiful story that I just lived. I was like, am I living this right now? Am I seeing this right now? And just the connection that he had. It was a spiritual connection that he had with these horses. And then I saw how he worked with the dogs as well.
So you learned by watching him, because he wouldn't teach you what he knew?
Yeah, it just wasn't. My grandfather is very machismo, if
right.
That's what you like to call it.
Yeah.
And his story is very different, and he's always very strong-minded. So we were never really allowed to be. I think what it comes down to is the fear of what if the horses kick us, or what if the horses do something and hurt us. I think it was always set in his mind of that fear. So he always kept us outside. But once we got older, me and my sister, I'm an identical twin. So my little sister, as we got older, our little cousins, he kind of got a little soft, where my younger cousins were able to start training with him. Yeah.
That's awesome. I actually met your identical twin.
Oh, that's right.
That night that we went out at. We'll get to that. We'll get to the workshop real quick. But do you realize how much you have, how your story kind of parallels with Cesar Millan? Have you ever realized that?
No.
Have you ever read any of Cesar's books?
I'm not gonna lie. Nope.
Okay. No. Hey, honesty is 100% on this show. Yeah. The reason why I mention it is because Cesar mentions in his books that it was his grandfather that taught him how to connect with Mother Nature. His grandfather always told him, never work against Mother Nature. Mm-hmm. And he didn't have an outline. He didn't have a program. He didn't have step-by-step instructions. Mm-hmm. All he had was instincts, and his grandfather basically taught him how to be in tune with his instincts. And they also had a farm, and they were also from Michoacan.
Oh my God, no way.
Yeah, I'm serious. So when I read you have a small bio on your website, and I was like, this is crazy. I said, she could almost be a Millan.
Oh, that's awesome. I had no idea.
But I'm also very familiar with, because you mentioned that your grandfather was machismo, right?
Yeah.
That's a very cultural thing, right? I mean, right. Even still to this day in Mexico, it's very cultural. And Cesar himself mentions that it's something that he had to live with living here, especially having been married to an American, a Mexican American woman. Right. So he had to kind of undo and relearn a lot of his thinking because of the way his cultural upbringing was, that, women, like you said, didn't learn how to work the horses or ride the horses or train the animals and things like that. They had other traditional roles, which also reminds me of a conversation. We should also mention, you and I met at the Lucas Agnew workshop back in September. It was right, September or October, right? Beginning of October. And that's Sherry Wolf Lucas for anybody listening. And we were talking. Yeah, oh, she's way badass.
Next level.
She's a superhero. Yeah, she's next level. Black belt, I like to say. And we had a conversation once. Do you remember the conversation we were having? And you were telling me about how much of a struggle it was for you when you were getting into the dog training business world, because of the fact that you're a woman, and there were a lot of men trainers out there that weren't willing to teach you. Can you go into that a little bit, just to basically?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so awesome that you remembered that. I don't really talk about that to many folks, but you know, it was really hard. It was really hard the first couple years, especially because I always bring up this specific dog. His name's Lionel, which I'm so in love with, and he had a lot of aggression issues, and which really got me to shadow different trainers and really look really deep in and just really search for trainers that I can get some help with. And it started off really well, and then it would end up where it got to a point where it's like, well, I don't want to teach you because I don't want you to copy what I've learned. I don't want you to work with what I've learned. And it was always that mindset, which really shut me down. And I said, well, wow, are all trainers like that? And I ran through, met a couple people with that mindset, and it made me feel a sense of where I couldn't receive any help or any how do I say this, any guidance, right? And so I stopped for a moment in that belief, in that mindset that I had, like, are all people that I like to shadow the same way? And then I met Brandon Fauché. Brandon Fauché changed my whole life, my whole mindset. And even if I just met him for one day, he changed my whole perspective of there are trainers out there that you can shadow. There are trainers out there that are willing to show you, because they have the same passion, they have the same purpose that you do, to basically change the life not only for humans but also for dogs. Mm-hmm.
And is he a trainer out in LA?
Yes, I think he's in Compton or Inglewood. Okay. And he is and he specializes in dog aggression. And he actually showed me, you know, he was such a cool dude. Like, he talks about meditation. He talks about toys. Why not get toys? He changed my whole perspective. He's like, are you giving these dogs toys? And I said, yeah, I play with them. Why? It actually turns on the predator side of them. And I said, no way. So he explains every detail in depth. And I was able to be there for about 6 hours. He takes the aggressive dog for 3 hours, and then he has you come back. But during that time, it was almost a time of despair where I was like feeling, oh my God, I'm failing with this dog. This is my client's dog. I need to find a way, because this dog is just unbearable. I'm feeling like I'm failing with this dog, which I always talk about Lionel, and the owner was like, okay, let's go meet Brandon Fauché. And he sat us down. He has a full-on conversation and talks about meditation. He talks about your personal life, how it plays out with the dog. And he takes the dog for about 2-3 hours, studies him, his entire pack, just checks him out. I think he had about 10 to 15 dogs. And you know what? The dogs do all the work. He barely even speaks. I mean, he's talking through the video, but he barely does any types of corrections, and all the work is done through the pack. And after that, he gives you an entire breakthrough of what happened. He brings you back. He asks you to come back and just really talk about what happened during the change or the shift of the dog in the pack.
Was Lionel fear-based aggression, or was he just human aggressive? What was his story?
Quite honestly, it's been a lot of fear. He doesn't know how to be a dog. He was never really socialized. Quite honestly, when he was 3 months, he was rescued from Mexico. So within 3 months, I think they rescued and they brought him to Los Angeles from Mexico. And they never really socialized him. They never developed that social skills with him. And he had a lot of insecurity, which built that aggression. There were no boundaries in the home. And that really, it comes down to, it's like the situations that are going on inside the home, because a lot of times it's that as humans nowadays, we want to get these dogs to basically be like children. And that's not the case. So throughout the years, I came in when he was about 3 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's can I just want to point out how great I think it is on two levels here.
okay.
First of all, you as a trainer admitted that you needed help.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
you didn't have an ego about yourself, and you spoke to your client and said, "Hey, listen, I may not be able to help this dog right now, but I want to learn how to be able to help this dog,
Right.
and I want to be able to do this so that I can become a better trainer." And you found another trainer who was willing to help you as a new trainer.
Right.
So it's like information sharing, right? Because there's no grand university out there of how to be a dog trainer, right? It's like
Right.
we need to learn from each other. Otherwise, how are we going to learn?
Right. That's
And
right.
the second level, I think, or maybe third, if you count how awesome Brandon is for agreeing to teach you. But I want to commend the client, because the client could have easily been like, well, what am I paying you for if you can't help my dog? I can just go to somewhere else.
Right.
And it sounded like did he, so you, both of you went to
Oh,
Brandon, and you
absolutely.
guys
Yeah.
both learned. I think that's awesome. I mean, if there were just more people out there like that, I think it would make
Right.
our jobs working with dogs just a little bit
Yeah.
easier, right?
Yeah. It was really cool because I know the client's very busy. And so when Lionel's with me, he's obviously very disciplined a certain way, but when he goes back home, he was conditioned in a different habit and a different mindset. And so going to Brandon Fauché was a huge transformative for both of us. And I was able to apply, I think he was able to apply the tools that we received from that day as well. And yeah, it really changed my perspective, and it brought a lot of light for me to be able to really work on the workshops, basically go out and shadow and reach out to people and build the confidence to reach out to people and say, hey, I'm willing to shadow you. I would love to shadow you. And maybe you have different ways of training, and I would love to shadow you. And maybe I could go ahead and implement that into my work. So yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Yeah. So I just want to share with you a couple of things, because it sounds like what you're describing to me that you went through a few years ago, I'm actually going through right now, Jess.
Oh, well.
So when you mentioned that you wanted the confidence to be able to help other people with their dogs, I want to be able to help other people with their dogs too, but it's one of those things where, like, okay, do I call myself a dog trainer? Do I put out my business out there? What
Right.
if people judge me? And what if I can't help this? Somebody comes to me with their crazy dog and I can't help, and now I have my first bad review. It's like all these crazy negative kind of thoughts come through your
Right.
head. And I've been having an idea for a while now. Obviously, I want to run the rescue on a nonprofit basis, but I would like to do a for-profit separate business. But my idea was more like a dog fulfillment services kind of thing, with maybe training on the side. So in other words, if you're at work all day and you want your dog to get a good bike ride or a hike or a pack walk or something like that, like I can do that. But if you want, if you want your super aggressive dog to walk well on a leash, okay, maybe I'm not your guy, but I might know a guy that can help you.
Right.
So it's one of those things that has been running through my mind on, like, okay, I want to do this, but do I really want to do it? It's like that hesitancy. But how did you end up at the Lucas Agnew workshop specifically? How did you hear about them?
Oh, that's a good question. One of my colleagues randomly said, hey, I'm going to send you an Instagram link. And I said, okay, no worries. And maybe you'll reach out to Sherry. And I said, who's this woman? So about, I would say almost 2 years ago, a colleague of mine introduced me through just Instagram, a link, and I started just checking out her posts, and I'm like, wow, this woman's fascinating. It's incredible. I was immediately inspired by one first video that she put, just randomly looking at her posts, and I'm like, wow, this is a whole nother level of training.
Yes.
This is behavior training. This is psychology. This is getting deep. This is like therapy for humans. Like, wow, you know, and it just changed my whole perspective. I started studying, and quite honestly, I really wanted to, I tried so hard to get to one of her a couple of her workshops last year, but every chance I don't know why, maybe the universe was saying not yet, but every chance that I tried, it was sold out. And I'm like, wow, this is incredible. This means something. This is golden. It's like a golden ticket. So March came along, this year, and I had it. I was ready. I missed the one that I really wanted to do with, they did a collaboration with Gentle Method, the guys from Oregon Tales.
Oregon Tales, yes.
Yeah. And I missed that one, and I didn't have it. They didn't have any more spots available. So they told me to wait till March. Then March came in and I jumped on it and I said, I'm going to do it. And the pandemic hit. Oh my gosh, my heart was crushed. I was like, no, this is crazy. What's happening? So then they said, hey, if everything goes well, we're going to move it to October. So I said, okay, no worries. I ended up, I thought I was going to attend a wedding. Then everything started to cancel. So I went back on I reached out to Sherry and I said, hey, do you have any spots available? She says, yes, all the working spots are out, they're booked, but you can definitely shadow. I said, okay, cool. I'll take it. I learned so much, and I'm pretty much, the way I observe is I'm very quiet. I'm very observant. I'm a visual learner.
I noticed that.
Hands-on. Yeah. And I take a lot of mental note. And I tried to do notes, write them down. And I saw a couple of people writing down notes, but I'm very extreme with mental notes and hands-on and visual learning. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also a visual learner. You know where I think that comes from? You're maybe you'll laugh at this. I don't know. So we were talking off air about you were, you wanted to get into acting and all this and that. Well, I mean, I don't know if I should say used to or whatever, but I'm kind of a dancer.
That's awesome. Hey, me too.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So when I was younger, I really wanted to learn how to dance good because I wanted to get the attention from the girls. So I wanted to learn how to dance. So what I would do, and this was back in the day with like VCRs, I would videotape all the hottest music videos and Michael Jackson or Usher or whatever, and I would just study the choreography. And I did this for so long that it became normal for me to watch something on a screen and not only watch it and learn it and study it, but I was able to differentiate that person's left hand and that person's right hand, because it's kind of reversed on the screen because it's like a mirror. But yeah, I completely related to you on that. But also, awesome. I noticed that at the workshop you were very quiet and very observant. And and I watched a video of you on your Instagram that you posted. I think it was maybe 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. And I mean, what is this? We're recording this on December 9th, so a couple days ago. And you were doing the long line work with e-collar work with the Doberman. I forgot what his name was.
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash, that's right. Johnny Cash.
He goes home Saturday. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah. And I saw your video and I said, wow, this is the first time I'm getting to see Jess work. And you just look so good. You just look so natural. And
Thank you.
It really looked
JP.
like you were paying attention during the workshop, but it didn't look like you had just learned that stuff at the workshop. So how much experience did you have going into the workshop?
I worked with, I shadowed a couple trainers prior to that. And there was one that really stuck out. Actually, two. One of them I shadowed, but the other one is they do business together, is is Sam from Pack Life LA. She's a badass girl.
I think I follow her on Instagram.
Yeah. And she just, the way she describes everything in detail and depth with energy work. And she goes, look, I learned this from Sherry as well, just watching and observing with, and just basically the long line. So I got to a point where I was like, there has to be another way. There is another way of walking these dogs on a pack, right? And how I just started thinking, like, how the hell do these guys walk 17 or these girls walk 17 dogs at that same time?
I thought the same thing.
Leash work. And trust me, I struggled. I freaking struggled. Sometimes I still struggle. And, you know, I these dogs challenge you, but it's leash work. Leash work is a whole nother level. A whole different energy once that connection builds in with that leash and the dogs feel it, that vibration, a whole different level. And I never realized how if 10, 15 minutes of just working that mental work, just going back and forth, as you saw in the video, it changes the whole perspective. Nothing else matters but your walk. The dog now begins to work. And I was like, what? It's that simple? No way. Changed my whole perspective. Yeah. And then e-collar came into play. I was a little bit of against it because I do live in LA and there's a lot of people. It's like, oh no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to.
Very polarizing.
Dog. Yeah. Very different mindset. But quite honestly, it's a really fantastic tool. And it's not a tool that you're going to use for the rest of your life. You know, I always tell clients, use it for about 15 to 30 days. Also use the e-collar if you're out on the beach. It's almost the same perspective as using a muzzle. You know, it's only there to help you and guide you. It's a tool. So yeah. Sure.
You know, I really, I'm really glad you mentioned the e-collar because I was talking to a beer about this.
Oh, I love her.
Yes. I had her on the show. And,
that's so cool.
Yes. And we were talking about basically how Sherry was able to explain e-collar work and long line work and place work and things like that.
Yeah.
And what I took most out of, because I was very green when I showed up to the workshop,
right?
And I learned the importance or the philosophy behind place work, right. And I also understood, or how they explained it, how the e-collar was another layer, used as another layer of pressure and getting the dog's attention or getting the dog to pay attention to you. So I have a better understanding now of e-collar work than I ever did before the workshop. Right. And and you know, we were talking so much about shadowing. The guy that I shadow here in Gainesville, he also uses e-collar.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I have to admit, just there's something weird about the e-collar because it's like that fear of judgment, right? Mm-hmm. It's like sometimes I think like, man, it'd be cool to work this dog off leash in public, right, with the e-collar. And then I think, okay, but now I have to deal with all these like looks and comments from all these other people. The guy his name is Jimmy Nieves. He does these Facebook Lives. And he did a Facebook Live a little while ago where this dog that was formerly reactive was in front of a supermarket, and he's just chilling, just laying down off leash. People are walking by and not paying attention, and it's a tremendous achievement for this dog because they wanted to put this dog down. This dog had a bite history, right? And he was doing this Facebook Live, just basically talking about how great this dog has been doing, and you know, and how, you know, the former owner wanted to put the dog down, and then some lady just comes in, interrupts him and just says, oh, that's a beautiful dog. What's his problem? So he starts to talk to her, and he says, oh, I'm rehabilitating this dog. He has behavior problems, but he, as you can see now, he's doing great. So her immediate next question was, "Oh, do you use torture tools?"
Oh God.
So he was like, "Well."
What define?
I loved his answer though. His answer was, "I save lives." That's really what I'm in business doing, is I'm saving lives. And I thought about what he said for days after that, and I realized he did save that dog's life, because they wanted that dog was on death's row. It was like the last chance, and the e-collar was the one thing that kind of got him to really focus and pay attention on what was being asked of him. But the other thing I wanted to say was, there's something weird about when I'm starting to train a dog. I immediately go into this mindset of, let me see what I can do without the e-collar.
Right.
And I don't know if that's if that's just me. Is it an ego thing? Is it not? Is it something that you go through as well?
No, not at all. You know, maybe in the beginning, it kind of just has that mindset of like, oh, that judgment, right?
Yeah, because it's very beginning for me.
Yeah, but you know what? Not all. Once you start seeing the dogs and you kind of get familiar of the energy and the body language of the animal, you're like, not all dogs need e-collar.
Yeah,
this guy is going to get it right away. I can guarantee it. But some dogs do it. And with the Doberman that I have now, the owners were really all about it. They're like, oh, you can wear the e-collar. I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Wow,
and I
great.
love that. That's so amazing. They're super on it. They're like, oh yeah, our dog had a different trainer, a trainer, and they put him on the e-collar. I was like, that's amazing. That's fantastic. And I don't use that much of it, but yeah, sometimes ego can come into play, or that judgment mindset. It's like, should I not? What are people going to think? But you get to a point where you're constantly training and just shadowing different trainers. And if you ever, there's a guy named Larry Crone. He's from Tennessee.
Yes.
And you've heard of him?
Thanks to Gons out in Toronto.
I love that guy.
I had him on the show, and he told me about Larry Crone.
Yeah, funny. I was just texting him today. I was like, I need help.
Yeah.
Talking about Lionel, I asked him, hey, do you live close to this area? And he goes, oh no, that's like 2 days. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. I guess they just moved to Canada,
big.
But yeah, it's huge. I'm like, I've never been to Canada, but I just, it's worth a try. So yeah, he posted yesterday or today, he posted Larry Crone. And I was like, whoa, that's incredible, because I'm such a fan of him. And he just, he had a Facebook Live yesterday, and he talks about the e-collar just in depth. And he's so down, like he doesn't give a shiza, and he's like, hey, the e-collar is a tool. It's a fantastic, positive tool.
Yeah. It's because I'm pretty green and pretty new. I'm sure as I get more dogs, don't get me wrong, I have been practicing a lot with it. I get a little uncomfortable if like you trying to find the working level and you accidentally go a little too high, or you end up pressing the boost button or something like that, and it's that feeling of like, oh man, I don't want to hurt this dog. But sorry to interrupt it. It's like, I mean, if you test it out on yourself. So you can kind of get that feeling of when you do get to that level, it's a little twitch. It's almost like a nudge. They don't really, if we're going up to 20, I used a mini educator. That one is pretty strong. Yeah, that's the one.
And if I go over 20, oof, the dogs are going to feel it for sure. And they're going to twitch. It's going to be like that weird twitch that they have. Yeah. Of course, I feel a little bit bad. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry I went too high. Yeah. Because the mini educator, when you move the knob, it's really sensitive. But don't feel bad. It's a mistake. I'm so sorry. It's not going to happen. Just tell that to yourself internally, and the dogs are going to move on. And but yeah, most definitely, it's a really fantastic tool.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just an experience thing. So let me ask you this, Jess. So you do pack walks, you have clients, you have board and trains. Take me through like a typical day or week at Groovy Paws, because more specifically, I want to know how it is that you can integrate dogs into your pack walks that may not be the same every day or every time you do them.
Every day, yeah. I guess I could talk about before and after. Before I even realized the whole long leash work, I was doing it wrong. I was completely doing it wrong. I was walking, I would take any dogs. I'm like, okay, cool. But once I started developing and working with dogs with a long line, it was such an entire mindful change. Tuesdays and Thursdays is pack hikes, completely different. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are just walks. But since the whole pandemic, I got really slow. So it's just, instead of being 8-hour days, it actually shrunk to 3-hour days on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. And Tuesdays and Thursdays have developed to be a long day. But here's the thing, I actually manifested that. I've been wanting to manifest just hikes. I love hikes where I can bring more than 7 to 8 to 10, 15 dogs together. I haven't hit 15. The most I've hit is 11, maybe 12. I take that back, 12. And it's been so fun. One of my most favorite places to take them is up in Topanga Canyon. There's a most extraordinary, special, like a spiritual feeling up there. And the dogs feel it too. It's so different. The vibration up there is so extraordinary. You get the heat, but also the ocean, because we're so close to Malibu. And Monday, Wednesday, Friday are just super slow right now. But Tuesday and Thursdays, wow, those are the longest days. I probably say about 7 to 8 hours. I pick them up. I start my pickup around 8 a.m. and my drop-offs between, 2 and 3 or 4 p.m.
and specifically, are these dogs that would be meeting each other for the first time on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or are you working with them on the long line before you go out as a group?
Oh yeah, right now it's just regulars. But let's say a newcomer comes in.
Right.
I do the meet and greet. I do the whole setup. I always tell them it's like a 15-minute meet and greet, but sometimes the conversation is so chill. It's like it goes up to an hour to 2 hours, and I'm okay with that. And that's when the training comes in. And I do a little bit of leash work. If I see that there's potential with the pack, and the pack will will be able to be cool with it, the energy of the dog that's coming in, then I bring him along. It really is the energy that I see and that I vibrate through the animal when I first meet them. If I see that they're struggling on the leash, they're pulling, they're lunging, it's just too much, then I work them. I ask for about 1 to 2 sessions, and then that's it. And then I bring them into the pack. But all of it is work. Sometimes it's challenging. I kid you not. Sometimes it's challenging. A lot of times it's like Instagram, a lot of these trainers, or I've been actually researching, and I go, okay, let's see if they actually show when they load the dogs. I haven't seen one. It's always after. It's always after, meaning when they're loading the dogs after the hike. So right. I like to see when they're loading the dogs, because most of the time, depending on the owner, sometimes they create excitement in the leash, right? Even right. After you tell them all the time, don't create excitement, don't show them the leash, or do these steps, or do this. And then the dog is super hyperactive. Then you have to wait a couple minutes. So it becomes a challenge sometimes in the mornings when I pick up the dogs. But once you exercise them for about an hour or two, they're like, boom, I got this. They're tired, they're exhausted, they're sleeping on the way home, and they're super chill.
So we should explain for anybody who's listening that isn't familiar. You're explaining because once you pick up a dog from their owner in the morning, obviously the dog is most likely going to be excited around their owner to begin with, right? So you don't want to put or load an excited dog into a pack of dogs that are in the car that are already calm. because that
Right.
defeats the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish, which is a calm pack so that you guys can migrate together. Is that
Yep,
basically,
that's right.
That's basically everything?
Yeah, you're right. You nailed it.
Awesome. We should also explain long line work, because I don't think we actually, just in a nutshell, why is long line work important and helpful?
Basically, the long line work, what I've learned is you want the dog to follow you, right? And I always say, let's go, in not an excitable state of mind, it's just very firm. Let's go. Teaching them to follow you as a leader. That's it. To teach the dog to follow you as a leader. That's what they're looking for. And that's what they want. They want to look up to a dog. The dogs are looking up to a leader, to basically a human to look up to a leader, to follow through. I
have to tell you a short story real quick. There's a dog.
Okay.
There's a dog that we just got into. Again, this place where I'm shadowing, Casper's Camp Hope, for anybody that wants to look that up here in Florida. The dog is a husky. Her name is Shira, and we got her a few days ago. But I got to work with her on Monday, and she came to us because she basically just needs to learn manners. Like, she doesn't walk well on a leash. She doesn't. She's a very good dog.
Right.
She's not dog reactive. She's well socialized. She just needs to be able to follow her human. And I said, okay, great. I got to take all the dogs out anyway. I'm gonna take this dog out because she was kind of crying in the crate and just trying to, because she was isolated. So I go to take her out, and it's just, I'm telling you, it's just a disaster. Like, she's trying to run out of the crate. She's not paying attention to me. And then we get outside the house, and now she sees, because he lives on a main street. So now all the cars are going by and the squirrels are running up the trees, and the dog just might as well have not even been with me, because she was just all over the place.
Right.
So I bring her back in the house, and I got to tell you, my confidence took a little bit of a hit, because I was kind of like, I'm trying to get this dog's attention, like, hey, let's go, and trying to zigzag a little bit. And I try to not let it bother me, but it just kind of stuck with me later. And I'm texting with Jimmy, who owns Casper's Camp Hope, and we're just kind of talking about some of the dogs that are there, and he likes to update me on what's going on. So I said, hey, I didn't do well at all with the husky, like it just kind of bothered me. And then he just basically explained, like, no, like, it all begins at the crate door, and then threshold, at the door to the threshold to the room, and then the crate door, and then she's got to be calm. And huskies are like cats.
I have a husky shepherd. I know.
Yeah, there you go. And when he said that huskies are like cats, I just laughed, and I was like, I'm just like, it was almost like, why wouldn't I struggle? You know what I mean? Like, why would I think that I'm just going to grab this leash and everything was just going to be great? It just takes practice, right? Yeah. So today I came in with a different mindset, and I did long line work. I had a plan. She was calm coming out of the crate. She had to look to me before leaving the room where the crate was. Perfect. Before leaving the house threshold. So we did already 4 thresholds before you can hitting the street.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Yep, that's how it works.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it was probably about 20-25 minutes before we even left the house. And I forgot to bring my long line, but I had a regular leash, and I just did the crazy man's walk, the figure eights. Yeah. And I said, let's go. And after maybe 5-10 minutes, she's looking at me like, this guy's crazy. I guess I have to pay attention to him because I don't know which way he's going. Yeah, so that's right. I worked with her for 2 hours, and in 2 hours I made more progress than I probably have in any dog. So it was a real confidence booster, and just a reminder, like to kind of take things slow and don't have such high expectations and things like that. What are your ultimate goals with Groovy Paws? Where do you see yourself taking this? I mean, We all have goals, right? What do you want to manifest?
I always go back to the farm life, right? And going to Sherry Wolf Lucas Ranch is such an inspiration. I love to get to a place where I can rehabilitate dogs, rather if it's rescue dogs, and foster them and find them a forever home. But my dream, and I have it on my vision board. I'm a huge fan of vision boards because a lot of the things that so much that I've done on vision boards have come true. It could take 3, 5, 6 years, whatever, but it's come true. But I would really love to have some land in order for me to bring these dogs an adventure, right? But also to be able to rehabilitate them. And not only that, is to be able to serve these animals and the humans as well, a place where they can come and gain knowledge and information about dog training and dog psychology. I'm Hispanic, so I speak Spanish, and in Los Angeles, there's not a lot of trainers out here that can help people that speak Spanish. And a lot of Hispanics and Latinos don't feel comfortable or confident enough to reach out to English speakers trainers because the lack of broken English. So I really, really want to focus on, my main goal is to be able to be not only English spoken, but to reach out to the English folks and to the Spanish speakers and be able to help them out as well in that community. Because I have before, and I hear this all the time, like, wow, this is amazing. You know, I'm so happy that you speak Spanish and you're able to translate. And I feel so much more confident in the work that I'm doing with my dog. And I go, wow, this is incredible. It made me feel really good, you know, because I didn't realize that there's a lot of folks out there in the Spanish community that need a lot of help, and they do have dogs as well, and they're looking for a sense of relief, or a sense of some sense of knowledge of dog psychology or behavior, because their dogs are going through issues, and they're going through issues that need guidance from.
Jessa, I see this firsthand all the time, because the guy that I shadow, Jimmy Nieves, he's from Puerto Rico, and we're in Gainesville, Florida, and I don't know if you're familiar with, but it's north central Florida, so it's all the way at the top. And he has people driving from as far away as Miami and Georgia.
Wow, that's awesome.
Simply because they feel more comfortable speaking to a Spanish-speaking person. So I'd say probably 95% of the people that come and drop their dogs off for board and train are Spanish-speaking clients. And I agree 100%. I see it firsthand. Now, I will admit, I was not raised speaking Spanish, so
I know, I saw that. I was like, Mendoza, what?
I know. I wanted to learn it. I made an effort to learn it later in life, so like kind of high school on. And I'm very self-conscious about my Spanish. So my wife is from Peru, so
that's awesome.
She tells me all the time, like, oh, you got to practice. And now I have no excuse, because I can actually practice with Jimmy. So I'm actually hoping to have him on the show towards the end of this season that I'm doing with the show here. But man, if you're ever in Florida, I would love to introduce you to him, because
thank you. I would love to.
Yeah, that'd be great. Jessica, I'm gonna. Oh, you know what? I wanted to mention, we were talking off air, and you said that you had a great idea for topicals, dog topicals, natural products. Why don't you talk a little bit about your plans with that?
Well, I did start it, but I kind of took it off for a little bit. But topicals, you know, I like to do something more holistic. I've been working with formulas for quite some time, a couple of years now, but this year it took a toll. So with the whole pandemic. So I was able to, anyway, moving forward, it was, I love working with essential oils and hemp oil. You got coconut oil, healing products that really benefit the dogs itself. You have collided silver product. I use a lot of collided silver in my products, and developing more of a holistic topical for your dog. It might take a couple days to heal versus a medicated over-the-counter product, but it definitely heals much more smoother than an over-the-counter product. I don't know. I've always loved holistic approach because it's something that I grew up with. My mom, I owe it all to her. She's an incredible human being. She is all about herbs, looking into the holistic way. It might take a little couple days to heal, but it definitely is a more homeopathic way to do it. But yeah, that's
yeah. So stay tuned for that. I think that's so great because when we rescued Candace
right.
6 years ago, she was not in good health. Like, she just did not look well. And, along with her behavior issues and everything, we did everything we thought we were supposed to do. We fed her like the kibble diets and,
right.
and gave her all the vet medicines and the prescriptions, and she had all these skin allergies and problems. So we ended up getting more medicine for that until one day, I just decided to look up one of the medications that we were giving her for her skin problems. And I was horrified by what I was reading. And I was like, oh my God, we're giving our dog like poison. Mm-hmm. And long story short, we ended up taking her off all the medicines and started treating her with a more holistic approach. And right. she thrives on it, and with a more natural diet, and it's amazing how much change just with the diet alone.
Absolutely.
She doesn't get the hot spots anymore, and
that's amazing.
And it really is amazing. So that's when I really started respecting the holistic movement and the oils. Like we use natural sprays for like flea and tick preventatives and things like that.
That's crazy that you said that. I developed something like that, and I use it every single day, pretty much every single day. And I have clients saying, hey, do you think that you should, can I get some of that? And I'm like, sure, no problem. And I created these formulas which was more of a holistic way to basically, I mean, it's not 100% cure, like it's not going to, for the fleas and ticks, but it's only for that moment. You have to spray a couple hours later, but these essential oils in the formula that I created, it really works. It's amazing. Citronella is such a powerful source for it. Sure. You got a little bit of eucalyptus, the lemon,
lemongrass, cedarwood oil.
Right on. Yep.
See, Jess, I know a little bit about the essential oils.
Yeah, you do. That's good.
So if anybody wants to stay tuned for products that you might have coming out in the future, they would go on to your social media.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely promote it on there.
Okay. All right. So that would be at Groovy_Paws. Yep. And then you also have your personal one at Just No Stress. That's 3 S's at the end, right?
Yep. I always say Just No Stress, triple S at the end.
There you go. Almost sounds like a pro wrestler promo.
Right. Huge fan of wrestling.
Yeah. Are you really?
I am. Yeah. WWE. I love the Bella Twins.
I'm learning all kinds of new stuff from you. See, that's the only complaint I have about the workshop is that we didn't really have that much time to really kind of talk and get to know each other and hang out. It was almost way too fast. It was like 3 days and we were all out.
Yeah. But you remember the questionnaire? Sorry to cut you off. Like the questionnaire, right? And I kept thinking one of the first questions, like, what do you see something, do you think we should do something in introduction? I was like, yeah, maybe we should all stand up and say a little bit something about ourselves.
Yeah.
Maybe, not necessarily like our hobbies and all that, like get to know somebody really.
A little bit of an intro.
Yeah. A little bit of an intro of each individual that showed up.
Yeah, I agree 100% because, and I told this story to a beer when I had her on and Gons as well, is I started feeling a little bit insecure and a little bit,
What? No
a little
way.
bit intimidated because I didn't realize how many people that showed up to the workshop were already like established trainers.
Wow.
So when I started hearing people ask questions like, oh, I have a client that does this and I have a client that does that, and this one dog that I worked with, and I'm like, wait a minute, am I the only person here that doesn't have clients? Like,
Oh,
so it was just one of those weird things. That was the first day though. So like
yeah.
after that,
But you did great, dude. Like watching you work the long line and the e-collar, that was awesome. You
I
did
really,
great.
I really appreciate you saying that because that first day I was kind of a mess because it was the first time I had done either.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was the first time I did both, and then Sherry, I think it was Sherry, she was asking me to do both at the same time. So I had to coil the long line, and I had to have the timing with the e-collar and
Right.
call the dog.
Right.
So that first 20-minute that I was up, it was kind of like a lot. But then I remember the second time in the afternoon, and then the next day after, I felt a lot more confident. And Gons also showed me some stuff with
awesome.
just the leash work. Yeah, so he was kind of sort of my roommate.
I love that.
Yeah, so. But that was honestly, other than the education from the workshop, my favorite part was meeting everybody.
Yeah, me
Like
too. Me too.
that was like the main motivation for doing the show, because I can feature so many people that that aren't really such huge names that are doing awesome things in the dog world, and a lot of people don't know about them. So I just want to kind of feature
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, just
Thank
kind of
you.
highlight everyone. Yeah. Thank you for being on the show, Jess.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and you can go ahead and answer them in like a rapid fire kind of way if you want. Okay.
Okay.
I ask these questions. I ask these questions to everybody. So, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What's the one thing you wish dog owners would understand?
Psychology. Dog psychology.
Okay.
Energy.
What is the one thing you wish dog trainers would understand?
Ooh. I don't know.
Stumped?
Coming back to me. Oh, what is the one thing that dog trainers would understand?
Should understand that you
Oh,
think
should
they
understand?
Yeah.
Is, oh, that's a good one. I don't know. I mean, ego always comes into play. Break that fear. Break that fear.
There you go. And the last question is one of my favorite ones because it's kind of a way, I think, it's like an opportunity to kind of pay it forward.
Right.
Is there anybody that you personally know in the dog world that deserves more recognition? Someone you think people should look up and maybe that I should have on the show? I think you mentioned a couple names already, but go ahead.
One of the biggest ones that had a huge impact, and I still reach out to her from time to time, is Miyawa from Blue Man Dog. She owns her own rescue center in North Hollywood in California.
Oh,
and out of all the rescue centers that I've met, she was a huge impact in my life. And but yeah, Blue Man Dog, huge recognition. She's an extraordinary trainer. Not only that, is the purpose of rescuing these dogs. She goes all the way far as Mexico, and she goes above and beyond for these dogs. She is an incredible human being. And also Julie that works with her as well. They're both extraordinary human beings, and they do anything to help the dogs after they're rescued, even if I foster them or not. Anybody that's fostering the dogs, anybody that rescued the dogs, they're willing to give free advice, free training sessions. It's awesome. They're amazing.
I I would love to have other rescuers on the show. It's one of the things that I'm trying to work hard on, because most of the people that I met at the workshop are other trainers. But I did meet a couple of them, so I appreciate you giving me the names of another awesome person that just also happens to be a rescuer. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Jess from Groovy Paws out in LA, thank you so much.
Thank you. This was awesome. So much fun.
Thanks again, Jessica, for being on my show. If you'd like to follow her, you can follow her on Instagram at groovy_paws. Also at Jess No Stress. That's STRESSS. And also check out her website, groovypawsla.com.
Thank you for listening to the Candace's Pack Dog Rescue Show. For news updates and training tips, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can find us at Candace's Pack Dog Rescue. If you would like to support the rescue, please visit our website at cpackdogrescue.org. For questions and comments, you can contact us at cpackdogrescue@gmail.com. And if you like the show, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your podcast app.